Awesome. Everyone can see me. Everyone can hear me. We're off to a good start. Well, I am so excited to be here with all of you today. This is only my second time speaking in Connecticut and my first time speaking in this part of Connecticut, so this is going to be awesome. Just to show a show of hands, how many of you love marketing? Like, it's one part of running a practice that you truly enjoy. It's fun for you. Okay, so not many hands. That's all right. How many of you, marketing is kind of this necessary evil, right? You don't hate it, you don't love it, it's whatever. Okay, cool, a few more. And how many of you hear the word marketing and you get like hives? And it's just like I didn't go to school for this is not my thing. Your hand shot right up. I love it. So what I really want you to understand is what is branding, what is marketing, how do they work together, and how are they different? And then more importantly than that, how do you do your branding in a way that's going to attract upscale patients, right? Not those folks who you see once for their 11s and never again. Not those folks during the summer who are coming in for like the free air conditioning, right? Loyal patients who gladly pay more. So let's get into it. First thing you need to know about me is I am a man of very few talents, okay? Cooking, no. Singing, no. Sports, absolutely not, okay? But what I am remarkable at is helping providers build luxury brands. I speak at different conferences around the globe. I'm originally from Canada. I now call Las Vegas home. So I went from like very, very cold to very, very hot. So I've written a book. I'll give you a QR code later today to get a digital copy of that. But today's not about me. It's all about you. Let's talk about building your brand. So what is the difference anyways, right? As non-marketers, you hear these terms used, people seem to use them interchangeably. What is the difference between branding and marketing? Let's just start with some really simple definitions, right? Your brand is not your logo. I want you to remember that. I want you to write it down. Your brand is not your logo. Your brand and the act of branding is really the sum of how patients see, perceive, and experience your practice. It's the sum of how patients see, perceive, and experience your practice. The way your staff answer the phone, that's a reflection of your brand. Even the signature scent you have in your reception area, that's a reflection of your brand. Your patient outcomes, the way your websites and brochures and social media look, every touch point you have with a patient, physical or digital, that's a reflection of your brand. And then we have marketing. Marketing is the act of promoting and selling all of your different treatments and procedures, and you do it across different channels, right? Your social media, what you're doing for internal marketing to increase customer value, right? Everything you're doing on your website, your paid media, all of that is marketing. They work together, but they're two distinct activities. I want you to remember that. So how do they work together? I always like to use this example to make it very tangible. Branding is that real estate you own in the mind of a patient, right? When a patient says, I understand you're a great aesthetic provider, that is branding. Marketing is the act of you telling them what makes your practice so unique and superior. So remember, branding, when you do it successfully, means you own that real estate in your patient's mind. Marketing is that act of you sharing your message with your patient audience. So here are just some of the differences, right? Branding always comes first, right? You can have the best paid advertising in the world, but if your brand is lousy, if your message doesn't resonate with your audience, it's all in vain. So we always start with a brand, right? Branding really drives recognition and loyalty, whereas marketing, is really what's going to drive patient traffic and booked procedures, right? Branding endures over the long term, right? Your brand is something you build for the, longevity of your practice. Marketing, even things I heard, my peers talking about a year ago at a conference, those practices are irrelevant now. So marketing is shorter term and continuously evolving. Branding is a longer term activity that's really designed to endure. So understand they are different, but they work so importantly together. This is just a really kind of cool illustration of how branding and marketing help one another, right? You're going to see short-term sales increases and short-term, growth in patient traffic through your marketing activities. Whereas if we look at what your brand building activities do, those are going to drive lifetime patient value, patient loyalty, recognition of who your practice is over an extended period. So it's not that one is better than another. It's not that one is more important than another. Quite the opposite. but it's really that they work together in different ways and really augment one another. So, that's a little bit about the difference between branding and marketing. Everybody with me so far? Does that clarify it for you? So how do we build a brand the right way? Like I said, it's not going to attract those price shoppers, but it's really going to attract upscale patients, loyal patients who gladly pay more. Let's talk about it. So how many of you would say price shoppers are an issue in your practice right now or an issue where you live? Good number of hands. So here's the thing. So many of you are doing things in your marketing right now without realizing it that are like repulsive to the upscale patient, but are turning you into a magnet for price shoppers. And to illustrate this for you, I'm going to use a kind of funny example. I'm going to talk about soup. I mean, it is almost lunchtime, so I'm going to talk about soup. Right, so in Vegas, the closest supermarket to me is actually Whole Foods. So typically, I'll buy my soup there. If I'm, out and about town running errands, I might go to Kroger, or I think you guys have Stop and Shop here in Connecticut, right? But I would go to, the mainstream supermarket. If someone wanted to save a little bit more, they could go to Walmart, right? Lower price options. I probably wouldn't buy it or consume it, but if you really wanted to, you could buy your soup at the Family Dollar or the Dollar Tree. I don't know if there's real mushrooms in it. I don't know. But why am I talking to you all about soup today? Because at the end of the day, you need to determine what end of the market you wish to serve, and your marketing needs to align with it. You need to determine which end of the market you wish to serve, and your marketing needs to align with it, right? You can buy a blue sweater at Goodwill. You can buy a blue sweater at Saks Fifth Avenue. Which end of the market do you want to occupy in your practice? So the luxury marketing process, building a luxury brand, it's not this cumbersome, impossible thing, okay? There's really 5 steps to it, right? You want to target the right audience, aka, people that have the propensity to spend. You want to do that with high margin procedures, which is why I'm so glad you're all using, the Viora and the wonderful devices you have here. I don't need you all marketing $70 lash lifts all day, okay? Those are well and good, but I want you marketing high margin procedures with a unique offering, right? You don't price like everybody else. You don't package like everybody else. And then from there, you want to make sure you're doing it at prestige prices so you can win patients over for life. I want you all to write this down. If a patient comes to you because of price, that's exactly why they will leave you. If a patient comes to you because of price, that's exactly why they will leave you. So don't let price be the leading factor in your marketing. So anytime I talk about like upscale patients and, marketing to people who have money, people get these visions of like private jets and butlers and vacation homes in St. Tropez, and that's a group we refer to as the ultra high net worth individual, right? Do any of you serve those ultra affluent folks in your practices right now? Yep. So here's the thing about them. They've got money in the bank, but they often act exactly like your Groupon shoppers, right? They are difficult to serve. They are never happy. They don't refer. They're the first ones to run to Google and speak negatively. So that is a market you can serve, and it's certainly a viable one, but they come with their own set of headaches. I want to talk to you all about a different market, a market I call the Henrys, okay? Do any of you know that term? Henry is not a person's name. It is an acronym, okay? Henry stands for high earner, not rich yet, okay? High earner, not rich yet. Now, the numbers on this are going to shift a little bit depending on where in the country you go. But generally speaking, Henrys are those individuals with household incomes between $250,000 and $1 million. Why do I like this group? First of all, there's 22.5 million of these households in the United States and growing even to this day. And they may not have the butlers nor the private jets, but they sure spend like they do, right? So if they can see a case for value at your practice, they're going to be very loyal and gladly spend more. So how do we attract them? First and foremost, stop using the wrong words in your marketing, okay? This is my list of dirty words. Luxury brands do not use them, right? Discount. When I hear the word discount, I think of like bananas at the store that are like about to go bad. They're trying to move them that day. We're not selling bananas, okay? We are selling premier aesthetic treatments, right? Another really bad one is cheap. Now, I know you're not using that on your website, or I surely hope you aren't. But where I see that word pop up a lot is like on the phone or in the treatment room or, this is the cheaper option. Nothing in your practice is cheap. Cheap implies low quality. You may have offerings that are more affordable. You may have offerings that are more accessible. You may have offerings that, my personal favorite, provide exceptional value, but nothing in your practice is cheap, okay? Budget and financing are trigger words, like people act really funny when you say them, so you want to avoid those, which brings me to the 4-letter F word, free, right? Free implies no value. When I hear the word free, I think of like some mattress on the side of the road. I don't know why it's there, but I really don't want to touch it, right? Nothing you offer is free. But when I checked in here at the Mohegan Sun, right, that chilled bottle of water they offered me was complimentary, right? Small hinges swing big doors in marketing. A little shift in how you talk about what it is you offer at your practice can make a world of difference in how you're perceived. So literally just like screenshot this, send it to your web developer, have them swap these words on your website and in your newsletters. You will have done a world of difference to attract a much higher caliber patient. Is this list helpful for you guys? Amazing. So here's my favorite example of luxury marketing in action, La Mer. Here's the thing about La Mer. It's basically Nivea in a pretty jar with some nice fragrance added, right? You know it, I know it, we all know it. But guess what? La Mer are the masters at selling luxury and speaking to emotion. Another writer downer for all of you. The affluent patient buys with emotion and justifies with facts later. The affluent patient buys with emotion and justifies with facts later. So if we look at a brand like La Mer, it might not be anything remarkable at all, but people eat this stuff up, right? They are telling this story of NASA scientists and burned victims and miracle broth. Like, they don't even tell you what's in this product, right? For many years, their tagline was, "Do you believe in miracles?" How unscientific can you get, right? But when you buy a jar of La Mer, you aren't buying a product, you are buying a feeling. It's how you feel when you're opening that jar, when you're opening that green box. You go to Saks or Neiman's on any weekend, that La Mer counter is booming, right? So always remember, with the affluent, you're selling a story. Another thing I want you all to do, and if you are using, the Sinclair portfolio, perfect way to begin doing this, contextual pricing. Ladies, what is Chanel charging for a boy bag these days? 12, 15, too darn much, right? But here's the thing. Chanel is using a principle called contextual pricing. You walk into Chanel, there's that $12,000 or $15,000 bag, and will there be a subset of Chanel shoppers who want that bag? Absolutely. For many of those consumers who are walking into the boutique that day, though, that's not within their budget. But what is right next to that $12,000 bag? The $800 keychain, the $1,000 wallet, the $700 phone holder. $700 for a phone holder on its own is ridiculous, but next to that $12,000 bag, to have a piece of the Chanel experience, what a deal, right? Bargain of the century. This is contextual pricing. Why am I talking to you about Chanel? This is a principle you can easily put into practice in your own practice. So here's what this looks like. Signature treatments, right? How can you combine modalities in your practice to really offer a high-ticket procedure? Now, a lot of providers, when they start combining modalities, they discount them. But here's what you're not understanding. When a patient is investing in your practice at that level, they aren't just paying for the modalities themselves. They're investing in the expertise that accompanies those modalities, okay? They're investing in the results. Patients buy outcomes, write that down. So that comes at a premium. And all of a sudden, if you've got a $5,000 signature treatment, whatever your price point is for a syringe of dermal filler, or one of your energy-based devices, or whatever it is for your neuromodulators in your practice, it looks so much more affordable by comparison. So this is a principle I really like to lean into. You've got your signature treatment, right? Your Chanel bag, and then you've got your injectables, your energy sessions, all of that, and those are your key holder, your phone case, all those things. This works beautifully. Really quickly, 6 things I want you all to stop doing if you're trying to attract an upscale patient. Number 1, devaluing your primary offer by overdoing your promotions, right? It's like you get, the energy device sessions, and you get the facial, and you get the easy bake oven, and it's just like way too much stuff, right? Keep your value adds relatively simple. Confused minds don't buy. So keep those promotions relatively simple with your value adds. Another one is like false hype and scarcity, right? How many of you on Instagram, every week you see a practice, oh, you got to book today, only 2 spots left, you're never going to see this deal again. But you're never going to see this deal again until next Tuesday when they're telling you the exact same thing. That's false hype and scarcity. You know, if I was selling like workout contraptions on, TV at like 2 in the morning, yeah, great. False hype and scarcity all day long. I am not selling workout contraptions, okay? We are all selling aesthetic procedures. You've got great technology here in the Viora lineup, but at the same time, don't focus on the technology alone in your marketing. Focus on those intangible elements that accompany the devices you've chosen, right? What is your unique blend of skills and training? What is your approach to creating a treatment plan for a patient? What is your unique way of assessing a patient's facial anatomy? I want you to talk about that. You can already gather by now, I am no fan of discounting. In the right circumstances, I may be, open to preferred pricing or, savings or incentives, but discounting, again, not only is that, if a patient comes to you for pricing while they'll leave you, it's also setting a really dangerous precedent for your relationship with that patient. Because if they come to you for a discount, they're going to expect them over and over and over again for their entire relationship with you. One of my favorite ways, and I know Repeat MD is going to talk to you later today, speak for them as well, by the way, to offer patients preferred pricing through a membership, that's great, but you don't want to be that practice that's bringing new patients in with discounts week after week, month after month, that will eventually just, wear you out and bring you the wrong kind of patients. Don't over-communicate. You need to be omnipresent. You need to use omni-channel marketing like Robin was talking to you about a few minutes ago. Absolutely. But there is a balance, and you need to find out what that is for your patient base, okay? Right? Like, I use the example of Bath & Body Works. Do any of you shop at Bath & Body Works? Am I the only one who likes, 3-wick candles, right? My goodness, do those people send a lot of email? To the point I didn't even care about a deal anymore. I was just sick of hearing from them, and I had to unsubscribe. It was daily. I was like, leave me alone, okay? Right? So just watch your cadence, look at your email performance metrics, and just make sure you're not overwhelming people. And then last but not least, prices, okay? Do any of you have prices right now that end with the number 7 or the number 9? There are numerous consumer psychology studies that show prices that end with 7s and 9s are typically associated with lower quality goods and services, okay? Someone has to justify why that is or isn't a good deal. If you walk into Target, everything in there is going to end with a 9 or a 7 or a 4. If you walk into Hermes, that's not going to happen, okay? Luxury brands use round numbers. That is prices that end with a 5 or a 0. Those are typically associated with higher quality goods and services, and we know those speak more to the emotional appeal of a service. So get those 9s and 7s and 4s out of your pricing and use round numbers. So at a glance, you guys, that's the difference between branding and marketing, and that's a little bit of how you build a luxury brand. Did you learn something with me this morning? Did we have fun? Awesome. I've got about 2 minutes left, so I kept myself right on time. Do we have any quick questions I can answer for you? Okay. You're still thinking of questions, I want to give you another really good little freebie, or I should say complimentary advice. I broke my own rule this morning. So here's the thing. Do any of you get people on the phone being like, how much is it per unit? How much for a device? How much? Do you guys get that on the phone? First of all, price inquiries are an opportunity to educate. Price inquiries are an opportunity to educate. In any sales context, whoever is asking the questions is leading. Whoever is asking the questions is leading. So you want to make sure your reception staff are very well trained. When they get a price inquiry, they fire a question right back in a very cordial way, right? That's a great question. I'd love to talk to you about price. Have you had a laser treatment before? Have you had a toxin treatment before? Are you seeing an injector right now? Make sure your staff are the ones leading that conversation and asking the questions. Another thing I'll say on that, if you guys get those phone inquiries where your staff can't even get a word in because the patient is hammering you with question after question after question, my favorite way to deal with that and take back control, and have your reception staff be leading, ask that patient, great question, do you have a pen and paper handy? Do you have a pen and paper handy? Why? That will then turn that patient from being in question asking mode to going into information receiving mode, and your staff can take control back of that conversation. If they're really dead set on getting a number out of your front desk staff, give them a range, right? On a typical visit, our average patient spends between this and this much on their toxin treatments. But your face isn't an item out of a catalog, so in order to give you accurate information, we need to do a consultation. Give them a range, let them know that their face is not out of a catalog, you don't want to mislead them, so you invite them for a consult. Give that a try as well. Is that a helpful tip? I know I just give you a lot really quickly. Just remember, if you lead with price, that's why patients are going to leave you. You want loyal patients who gladly pay more and don't shop on price. So this was so fun, you guys. Thank you for sharing some time with me this morning. I appreciate it.